Welcome to Talks with Teeds. I'm Eric Amato, the Vice President of Sales here at Teeds, and with me today is Hamali Lakhani, the Group SVP of Engagement Strategy at CMI Media.
Well, thank you for having me here. I'm excited to, really participate in this great experience.
Thanks for being here. Hamali, tell us a little bit about your work experience.
Yeah, I been in the business for over 20 plus years. I started my career in CPG and retail advertising, and then in the last 15 years have navigated towards complex HCP experiences, overseeing, multiple lines of businesses in the healthcare space. I recently am overseeing an HCP exclusive book of business, but have a very long-standing relationship with the patient side as well.
Looking back, what project or experience influenced you the most in how you lead or think strategically today?
I think if I look back in my career, I think one of my first experiences to oversee a brand was with the Celgene clients, and it was the launch of Revlimid. This was it was the initial time when it was one of the only drugs that really were impacting the multiple myeloma patient. And I think being able to oversee and really critically understand how patient and physician communication can come together to truly impact and, really administer life-saving drugs. I think over that time, if I really critically think about why it was so meaningful, is that we worked really exclusively in a very respectful brand team who was very innovative at that time. And they knew the robustness of this product. So they really pushed themselves and pushed the agency to really help critically think. And, this was probably almost 15 years ago. So it was kind of when digital was becoming a real thing for people. So even back then, it was how did they help their own organization kind of evolve? And you kind of learn, right, of the conversations, the charisma, the type of influence you need to make such a massive organization shift gears. So I think if I look back, I learned a lot from watching and learning and observing. And I think I try to implement the change no matter how long we continue in this business is hard. And that, change management is something that we have to be very careful because it's very emotional for a lot of folks.
What's one technology or tactic that you're excited about that you think will change how pharma brands speak to their audiences?
I think AI is kind of the big buzzword in the industry, but I think it's revolutionizing and changing and disrupting almost everything we do. And whether that's in your personal space or within the healthcare industry, I think it's very, very critical for pharma to embrace it, to create legal operations around it, to understand the safety behind it. But it's not something that's going away anytime soon. If anything, it's getting fast-tracked. And I think pharma needs to also remember and remind themselves that there's going to be a whole other generation of folks coming in very soon who are going to be AI trained at the basics. And I can say that personally as I raise a 12-year-old who has a digital assistant.
When it comes to strategy, how do you balance operational efficiency to ensure your work is both scalable and effective?
That's the name of the game, right? Because what you want to do, if you have to balance, a lot of it is balance. You have to be practical, pragmatic, and you can have a budget of a certain amount for testing, innovating, and doing things differently. And so I think there is always that reality to help your brand teams and your clients understand that we still need to get the advertising out, right? We can't sacrifice the time for development all the time on some of these newer ideas or the time it may take your compliance teams to really vet through the legality of operations. So I think it's about balancing, having at least 60 to 70% of your plan continues to be things you know how to do and things you do well. And then the rest of it becomes, this is what we focus our time and energy to prove that the following year becomes where we deeper invest.
Final question. Ethics and integrity are very important in leadership. How do you go about embedding that in your team's everyday work?
I think it's extremely critical. I think it defines who you are. It defines, the reputation you put out there. I think as critical and as, at CMI, account excellence is something that the organization prides themselves on. And I think you need to instill that, especially in some of our junior folks who are still learning. They're still growing. They don't, they're just understanding that that is who we have to become. I think on-time delivery is very important, but brilliant basics, you can't mess up the brilliant basics. You have to ensure that your campaigns, like, your campaigns, things are launched, your finances, and that when that client comes to you, you are their organized, bread and butter.
Wonderful. Hamali, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much.